here. Um, so I've always had, pretty good experiences with Anamosa. But I also know about hidden racism, and I also know about hidden sexism because I live it and I see it every day, even down the road, 25 minutes down the road. So for my impression and impressions of many like me who hear about small towns like this and hear about these issues, we're not really surprised because we've lived it for a number of years. I mean, our ancestors, we lived it. But what I've experienced here tonight is pretty shocking at the professionals at this table. Start with the mayor, who I don't know if I would see a mayor chewing gum at the beginning of a session. These are just professional etiquette things. It sounds like there's no plan that you have in place for what you're going to do to replace the gentleman who just destroyed your community. You're professionals here. I would have thought you would have had a proactive plan in place. I didn't even hear a plan. You guys are all professionals, and I'm not blaming anybody. Look, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I think someone, the lady said, have any of you ever, made a mistake and sent racist comments? Hell yeah, I'm not going to lie. I said the white boy, and I've done it. So listen, guilty as charged, self-reflective as charged, apologetic as charged. Have owned up to any mistake I've made. And let me back up and let you know that I've been married to my white wife for 22 years, been with her for 28. So there's nothing you can tell me about my dislike for white people with my biracial children and my family. So I have a unique perspective on this conversation. So again, I didn't come here to speak, but I had to, because I'm just appalled at the level of professionalism and the level of the way that you all are running the city. And I don't know any of you. I don't know anything about any of you personally. I can tell you what's being talked about and what's being said about you. And I heard about this from one of your community members. I heard about this on the Civil Rights Commission, which I sit on. And so as I sit and listen to and watch the professionals in our city that we're dealing with racial bias and what happened to the gentleman who was almost shot and killed, and how we've been working together for the better part of a year now, and we're moving slow, but we're doing some things. I would ask all of you to connect with some of these people in your town who are asking you to make change. You have a real opportunity now, if you mean what you say, if you sit and hold these positions as city council members and mayor, city attorney, because I'm sitting in the room with two police chiefs, the police chief of Marion and the police chief of Cedar Rapids. I'm sitting in the room with the U.S. attorney. I'm sitting in the room with the sheriff. I'm sitting in the room with lawyers and people who are trying to sit at the table and make a difference. You guys are on the map. We're watching you. We're watching you very closely. By the way, you notice I'm the only black person in this room. Anybody know that? There's two of us back there. One's my dad and one's my uncle. But we came up here for this. To the police officer in the corner, I can't blame everybody on that in blue. I can tell you the statistics show it's pretty rough. I can't blame that man for standing there. He's doing his job. I don't know how many emails he may or may not have gotten, but he has an opportunity. He has an opportunity. So I implore you guys to do something about it. You hold your titles, John, Kay, Rich, Tammy, Dale, Betty, Cody, and Rod. Some of you said you weren't here when this started. Are you ready to do something? Are you committed to that? Can you raise your hands? Let me ask you, who at this table is committed to making change in your community? Are you not going to raise your hand, City Attorney? Did everybody see that? I'm not here to blame you. I don't know you, sir. I don't. But I don't see a level of commitment here. Your town's not going to let you down. I'm asking all of you that are wearing your enough shirts, don't stop today. Because people like me live with this all of our life. You guys, I'm real proud of you for what you're doing. I'm just shocked, to be honest with you. Because I didn't expect this. Quite honestly, when I walked in here, I said to myself, man, oh no. if I'm in the right spot, maybe all these people are in support of this guy. I don't know what to expect. I just came here to be observant. But I just want you to know you have an opportunity, and you better do something about it. This ain't over. And if these people mean what they say in this audience, if these community members, they all mean what they say in this audience, and they all wear these shirts, and they mean it, they're coming after you guys. They're coming after you. So, God bless you. Do whatever you got to do, but know that we're watching from afar. I ain't going nowhere. Matter of fact, I'm bringing my mentor up here to take a tour of the prison because I don't want him to be a resident of that place where you can touch your hands. So, I'm proud of you guys. You really have impressed me. And I want to say to the police officer that you stand here and taking this, I think, you know, I don't know you, sir, but I hope that you can help your people because you don't all deserve to have a target on your back, but you got one, and there's a reason for it. You got to get rid of guys like that. There's more of you there. This didn't start with that chief. This did not start with that chief. I work in the staffing industry. I got people I got to give background checks to just get a $12 an hour job. In factories here in your town, by the way. So how he got here, I don't know. But you have the money and you have the means and you have the power to do something about it. And I implore you people that have came here tonight to not make this your last night. Do something about your city because you don't want us looking at you like this. You don't want us looking at you like this. And it won't get any better. It's going to get worse. So, thank you for letting me talk.
My name's Aaliyah Stute, 202 North Garden-Villo Street. I had vocal cord surgery, so I'm going to do this best I can. I'm with Crystal. I'm going for a chief from away from here. Nothing in the city already. I was wrongfully arrested 2 summers ago for something I did not do. I went to trial. I proved I did not do it, and I was acquitted. It was not just Bob. There was 3 other officers in that report that got a warrant for my arrest, and all 3 officers had lied about what they had put in their report. I wrote Betty Weimer about it. I never got a reply. I filed a report on Travis McNally to Alan Jackson. Nothing was done. I came to you, Del Barnes, about it. Nothing was done. I was intimidated. I was followed by officers. I was harassed by officers. I had to seek counseling. I had to seek medicine. I quit leaving my house. I was a face of Tapkins. I loved everybody in this town that came into that store. I treated everybody the same. I had to quit my job after the chief and the other officers boycotted Tapkins for 3 months. For 3 months they boycotted that store. When I was finally pushed out the door, within 2 weeks, they did a thing for Dare on pumping gas. I felt humiliated after they boycotted it for 3 months, but as soon as I left, they were there to pump gas. My fear today is retaliation. There is a big problem with intimidation, harassment, and retaliation in this town. And it was not just Bob, it was those that fell under him. And that's all I can say. I hope something is done, an investigation is done into the whole department. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to tell you thank you for speaking out, and please publicly accept my apology. I did print your email off. I did take it into Al. I did have a conversation, unacceptable. Later followed up. Whatever happened with that, was told it was looked into and unfounded. And then later was accused of picking on the police chief, was accused that I only got on the council to seek out his job. Sister, my apologies. I get it. I wish I'd have handled it different.
Thank you. Because I had no record and I no longer can tell my children that I've never been to jail.
Well,
And I was arrested at my place.
and I trusted those who I went to, and
Thank you,
lesson
Betty.
learned.
Thank you.
Brooke Bolkin, 702 South Carnarvillo. Something that, and maybe this has already been said, I'll be brief, but I just want to clarify on the record. At the last city council meeting, I don't get to attend all the time. I'm a mother. It's hard for me to get here, but I watch every single meeting. And one of the things that really kind of got me last meeting when this discussion came up, and I do want to thank you guys for making the right decision here. I really do believe you did. But when the subject of the settlement had come up, somebody had made the comment that, you know, clearly for that chunk of change, somebody thought that there was some wrongdoing here. The comment was made that, you know, a settlement is not an admission of wrongdoing, and I understand legally, you know, that is what it is. However, is the city prepared to acknowledge there was clearly wrongdoing here, and that we failed Officer Ford, we failed our citizens in what has occurred here, and that we need to make this right, and we need to be sorry, because we teach our kids that. I teach my children that, you know, and I just feel like leaving it as a settlement is not admission of guilt is not enough. We need to do better by our citizens and by our people. I think that's important to be able to acknowledge where we failed our people. So I guess I would ask you guys, you know, I don't know if you can respond, you know, are we willing to acknowledge that this was not okay, beyond just the termination of the chief?
I believe the decision made by the council tonight is that step. That is the statement we just said.
Okay, that is what you are acknowledging with that decision. I just wanted to make that clear for everyone that we are acknowledging this is not just to appease people. We're making a decision that we are in agreement that this is not okay, and I think that that's important that be said.
We did not tread on this lightly. Nobody sitting at this table would ever want to terminate somebody without just cause. We all felt there was just cause. We all felt that way. It was a group, every single person sitting here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure everybody in this room recognizes me. My wife is Betty Weimer. I've sat in this room a lot in the last 18 months, and I've come to meetings, and I've sat through a lot. I hear the whispers. I hear the rumors out on the street. I hear all sorts of stuff. And this decision that the council made today was the right decision. Hands down, right decision. Where I get frustrated as a spouse of a council member who, believe me when I tell you this, if anybody doesn't know the streak that my wife has in her, doesn't know my wife very well. This has been something that every one of these council members that I'm familiar with has had to listen to, has had to be a part of, and they all deserve blame to go around. But there's people in this room, and you all know who you are, who were aware of what was going on well before the suit got filed in 2015, and there's not many people that are sitting out in the public that knew about this themselves that are willing to take up the slings and arrows. Bill, I see you pointing the fingers, and I understand that. You've got a point to make, and I'm going to make mine, and I'm going to do it respectfully. Okay? We can all agree there were mistakes made, but those mistakes didn't start in 2015. And there are people here today that remain silent about what their role was. And I'm sorry, I've had enough. I've had enough of the slings and arrows. I just left a vacation. You heard from people today on my vacation, my time. And I didn't sign on for it, but I happily support my wife running for city council, because she has made efforts to make changes in this council and in this town. We spend our time trying to respond to people unsolicited. We have press calling us. I'm an attorney. There's not one way that I'm going to stand up and talk to someone that jams a microphone in my face before a meeting to get my opinion. To expect a council to respond to a microphone being shoved in their face before they've been able to sit down as a council for a specific purpose is an unfair attack. And that goes for every one of them. Now, whether I agree with what Adrian may have said, or what Dale does by smiling or not smiling, or what Rich says about something, that's okay. It's okay to have that kind of healthy explanation or discussion between people in a session. But to ask me what I think about something that Rich is thinking about that I've not heard about, these are closed sessions for a reason. There are rights that have to be followed. There are procedures in place. And I heard someone say if he gets paid a dime, or if there's a provision in the city administrator's contract that's coming in that he's going to get a liquidated damages clause. Yes, that's a legal term. There's not a city administrator that doesn't sign a contract for specific language in that. But those are negotiated terms. And the problem that I have is this thing that everybody talks about, social media, it's great when it actually reports what is going on. But when you get half-truths out there before everything goes out and before everything's discussed, that's just me saying he said this without ever talking to the man. If you folks have a problem with anything I say, I've got big shoulders. This young lady spoke up and said she can take a shower and be clean tomorrow. I can sleep with a clean conscience about what I've said today. And if anybody wants to take a shot at me, have at it. It's Todd Weimer on Facebook. Not hard to find. And I will gladly entertain that. But all I do is ask that people understand that sometimes when there is a non-response, sometimes legally you cannot do that. That's the dirty little secret in my business, is you can't always respond to something immediately. There are procedures that have to be followed, and sometimes advice is given. Do not respond as 6 individuals. You have to have discussion. That's why we have these provisions for open meetings and closed meetings. And I'm sorry I went on. I'm sure that there are many people in this room that are going to have a hard time with me. Have at it. The job I do, you are not going to be the first person to be pissed off at me. You're not going to be the last one. But I've sat back here a long time and listened, and that's all I've done. I haven't spoken. I've spoken one other meeting, and I don't like to because she doesn't need my help. She can defend herself all on her own. So for that, all I'm asking for is people, the first step in the right decision has gone on. Do we need to have a plan in place? Absolutely, we need to have a plan in place. But the first step is to get rid of the first problem so you can move on to resolve that issue. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, Todd.
I'm Alden Davis, 327 Deerwood. I don't usually get up in front of people and talk. But when I first met Amy, I managed the apartments down here. I moved here 14 years ago from Illinois. And she is the only officer that treated me decent. She came on the police force when I took over management down there. And I protected, and when they talk about posting things about women and that, I don't. I have respect for women, just like I did my mom. And another thing, the reason I don't is my Lord won't let me do it. But Amy told me one day, she said, since you became manager down there, she said, we hardly ever come down there to them apartments because I protected the women that were divorced and had kids and had bums for ex-husbands. And I would stay by their door when their ex was coming to protect them till they called the police. They're going to go through this Marine before they get to that woman and them kids. I served in Vietnam, and I came home when I got married. I married a woman, had 4 kids, and we had one. I was 21 years old, raising 5 kids. I made up my mind one day I wasn't going to swear in front of my family. So from 1971 to now, I have not said a cuss word because I have respect for people and women. And I wished that this police force had respect for the women here and not harass them. And I wish they would smile once in a while and respond to you. Because I've told the police officers even that one before and thanked them for their service. Never get a smile, never get a hi, nothing from them. So why does the community want to respect them when they don't respect us? Well, that's all I have to say anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for their service to this country.
You're welcome.
You did fine.
Crystal Larry, 207 South Jones. I would like to ask, with the chief's termination, is he still getting a pension, retirement plans? Is he getting all of his benefits? What's going to happen with his equipment? There are definitely some questions about what might be on that computer, and we'd like to know if there's going to be an investigation into that.
We're gonna check into it.
Well, and as far as the equipment goes, the motion was he had to turn it in by noon tomorrow.
Yes, and when you receive it, I'm asking what you're going to do with it. Is that going to be
Well,
sent?
you asked what about the equipment, and it's to be turned in by noon tomorrow, and then from there, we will proceed.
There's been no discussions on criminal charges, if that's what you're asking.
I'm asking if you plan to do an investigation
As far as
possible messages sent to minors. That's what I'm asking.
we just address his employment was all we've addressed at this time.
Okay. I would like to ask that you strongly consider looking into that. Those are allegations made by many, many people, and there are specific minors. If you haven't heard names, you can maybe do a little research and find out.
Well,
So-
once we get the equipment, we can take a look at it.
That's all I'm asking.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Teresa Keppel-Merrick from 20923 93rd Street, Anamosa. And I was not planning to speak, but I just would like to say that we moved to this community about 8 years ago, and we did so, and I wasn't really sure about it, and I have just grown to really love it, and I just wanted to say that because I believe that this community is based on a foundation of caring and compassionate people. And I have personally never had a problem with the police department, and I just wanted to say that I appreciate their service. You know, I'm hearing that there's been a lot of things happen, and especially with Chief Simonson, you know, I'm appalled. And, but I didn't want such a poor light to be shed upon the entire department. I just don't feel that that's fair. And I also want to say that I think that for us to move forward, that I would just like to speak for myself personally and say that I believe in forgiveness. And if there is anyone on the council that did something or said something or received a message and they regret that decision and they would like to ask the community to forgive them, you know, I would just like an opportunity to forgive you. You know, I will say that through the media, you know, we all know some details. Obviously, we don't know a lot of them. I don't know a lot of them. But, Cody, you know, we all know because your picture was on the news.
Right.
And I want to say that if you are remorseful or you have an explanation, I would love to hear that. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, and it's not necessary for you to do that tonight. I'm just saying, if anyone would like to, I would like to hear from you. And I would just like to know, I would like to understand, so that you're not being wrongly accused or, you know, there aren't rumors out there. You know, I just believe in integrity, and I believe that that's why everyone's here. And so if anyone would like to speak to that now, feel free.
I received the emails as reported. I didn't pass any emails along. Actually, after Monday, I actually had to go back through my spam folder and find the emails that were sent to me. It wasn't anything that I was looking for, or there were a mass email that went out. Definitely doesn't make it right that Bob sent any of it out. I'm sitting there with Amy Ford that we both just received emails. And I don't check my emails as frequently as I should, nor my spam folder for that matter. So if I know something's coming in, council packets, I look for that stuff. Beyond that, I don't. That's how I became involved in it, you know. So it's not something I asked to have sent to me. Not something that I condoned. Like I said, I actually had to go back through and search for it to even know. So I think.
Can I ask how you feel about the accusations that are being made that you condoned the behavior? Is there a reason why you didn't turn it into anyone? Did you speak up to anyone?
Monday, after the news article, is when I was aware of it, and I had to go in and find it then. I had no knowledge of it before then. I was very much caught off guard. So
are you saying that you had not seen the email at all
I had not.
prior
No.
to that?
No.
Okay.
So I
Am I
went-
allowed to address individual council members? Is that allowed?
And I appreciate you asking. Thank you.
I just wanted to know. And Rod, were you aware?
I was not part
Prior
of
to
the
Monday?
emails.
You were not part of the emails? And had you been made aware of the emails?
After getting on the council and part of the early, what I want to say, when the lawsuit was filed, we were in a meeting with the attorney that the city, or not, excuse me, that the city's insurance company had retained for representation. That is when it became official that there were emails sent. Had I known the severity or, you know, of sexual nature, yes, that was it. But as far as the contents, the context of any of those emails, I had not seen them until a few weeks ago when I first received copies. That is when I initiated as much inquiry and questioning as I could at the time.
Okay, so just so I understand, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, so around what date were you made aware
Of the actual content of the emails,
that the chief had sent out inappropriate emails?
I have no idea when that date was.
Did you say it was around the time that she filed the lawsuit?
It
that you
was
met with
when-
the attorney?
It was when we were in closed session with the insurance company's attorney.
Would've been
Okay.
just last fall.
Just last fall.
Well, that's when that was.
Yeah, I don't
It would have been before John and I got on, which would have been last March.
Well, so when did we make it known back here?
It was October, wasn't it?
I wasn't on.
It was January 17th.
Yeah.
January of 17.
January 17th.
Okay, I missed. And but we were only told that there were emails. We weren't told of what nature they were, what they contained.
Other than that they were,
There was emails.
yeah.
Questionable emails.
Questionable emails.
Okay. All right, that's fair. I just wanted to have a better understanding personally. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
First by Jody, second by John. All those in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yes, aye.
Opposed?
Of course.
No, let's sit here. That's a couple of hours.
We may have to because we
Get out.
the door.
Yeah.